Last night, I permanently blocked my oldest granddaughter's phone number. Not because she cursed at me, not because she forgot my birthday. I blocked her because she sent me a grainy ultrasound photo of my great-grandchild, a child still growing inside her, and attached a dollar amount to its tiny heartbeat. $100,000 wired into a college fund she controls, or I would never hold that baby. She tried to sell me access to my own bloodline, and the part that should terrify you, the part you need to sit with before you click away from this screen, is that she learned this from watching my own son operate for 30 years. So before you judge me, before you call me cold or paranoid, understand this. There is one master secret I discovered at the age of 76 that completely rewired how I protect everything I built. One move, one single legal architecture that made me untouchable, and I will hand it to you before this is over. But first, you need to hear the war that forced me to find it. I am 80 years old. My name is Ruth. I have buried a husband, 2 sisters, and my own reputation inside a family that decided my money was more interesting than my memory. The brutal education of aging while black in this country is that the system never retires its hostility toward you. It just changes uniforms. When I was 30, it wore a banker's smile, denying me a mortgage. At 50, it wore a supervisor's smirk, passing me over for a promotion I earned with my spine. At 80, it wears my son's face, sitting at my dining table, rehearsing financial jargon he barely understands, trying to convince me that I am too old to manage what I spent 6 decades bleeding to accumulate. The audacity is generational. The danger is structural. And your ignorance about it is the only weapon they need. Let me set the scene so you understand I am not speaking in theory. 2 Sundays ago, I roasted a leg of lamb, rosemary, garlic, slow heat for 4 hours. I set my grandmother's china on the table because David, my youngest son, said he wanted a family dinner. He brought Sarah, my granddaughter, and she brought her belly and her agenda. Before the meat was carved, David was rubbing his palms on my linen tablecloth like a man about to gamble his last dollar, asking me to list every tangible asset I own because the economy is volatile and he needs to assume the reins to protect the legacy. His words, protect the legacy. The man whose real estate license has been secretly suspended for 2 years. The man who wears counterfeit designer watches and Italian suits from a decade that no longer wants him. He sat in my house, eating my food, and told me he needed to protect what I built. Then Sarah turned on the tears. Crocodile tears so rehearsed I could see her blinking to manufacture them. She wanted the exact cash surrender value of my life insurance policy. For the baby's future, she said. They did not want my wisdom. They did not want my recipes or my war stories or the lessons that kept me alive when this world tried to bury me under its boot. They wanted the combination to the vault. And that Sunday afternoon, chewing my lamb while they sweated under the weight of my silence, I understood what every aging person with assets must accept. The moment your heirs discover the size of your estate, you stop being a grandmother. You become an insurance policy on legs, waiting to be cashed. Here is the first pillar, and if you do not engrave this into your skull, nothing else I say will save you. Total financial transparency with family is the fastest highway to elder abuse. I will say that again because you were raised to believe the opposite. Openness with your blood about your money is not trust. It is ammunition. Every dollar they know about becomes a dollar they plan around. Every account they can name becomes a territory they believe they are owed. You think sharing your financial picture is love. It is not. It is a blueprint you are handing to people who may one day hire a lawyer to use it against you. I kept my mouth shut for decades, and the one time I let a number slip at a Thanksgiving table 8 years ago, just one number, just the appraised value of a rental property, it metastasized into a family conspiracy that nearly cost me my autonomy. Do not make my mistake. The second pillar will make you uncomfortable, and I do not care. You must learn to treat estate planning as a military operation, not a family discussion. The system, and I mean the legal, financial, and cultural machinery of this country, was designed to encourage the premature transfer of wealth from the old to the young, from the dark to the light, from women to men. The entire philosophy of traditional succession planning is built to strip you of power while you are still breathing. They dress it up in gentle language. They call it preventive care. They call it responsible stewardship. But the translation is simple. Hand over the keys now, while you are alive and compliant, so the transition is smooth when you die. Smooth for whom? Not for you. You will be sitting in a facility somewhere, signing whatever they put in front of you, wondering when your name stopped meaning anything. I refused that script, and because I refused it, a man named Caldwell, a white attorney who drinks expensive whiskey and plays golf with my son, drafted interdiction papers behind my back. He wrote, without my consent, that I was showing signs of cognitive fragility. His evidence? I declined his offer to restructure my portfolio. In the system, a black woman saying no to a white man in a suit is not strength. It is a symptom. Remember that. The third pillar is the one that will cut deepest because it involves your own reflection. You must accept that the people most dangerous to your wealth are not strangers. They are the ones who kiss you on the cheek at Christmas. David is my son. I carried him. I nursed him through pneumonia when he was 4, held his hand through his first divorce, co-signed his first business loan that he never repaid. And 3 days after that Sunday dinner, my corporate attorney called to tell me that David had used Caldwell to file a durable power of attorney. Full powers by forging my digital signature, disguised as a routine Medicare update. My own child tried to seize legal control of my finances and my medical decisions by pretending it was paperwork. Family predators do not wear masks. They wear your last name. And if you refuse to see that, you are already losing. But before I show you how I locked every single one of them out, you must understand the lie the system has been feeding you your entire life. The lie is that privacy about your money is selfishness. that a grandmother who does not disclose her accounts is hiding something sinister, that a mother who refuses to add her children to her deeds is cold. This country punishes financial sovereignty in the elderly the same way it punishes ambition in black women, with suspicion, with forced intervention, with a legal apparatus that treats your silence as incompetence. Caldwell and David weaponized that lie. They used the system's bias to paint me as confused and fragile because a woman my age, with my skin, who says no with a steady voice, must be losing her mind. That is the architecture you are living inside, and if you do not dismantle it around yourself, it will dismantle you. Now, the 5 secrets. And I call them secrets not because they are exotic, but because the people closest to you must never ever know you have executed them. The first secret is what I call the dehydration. Months before that Sunday ambush, I had already transferred every dollar of liquid capital into an irrevocable dynasty trust. You understand what that means? The money does not belong to me anymore. Not on paper, not legally. I am the controller of a neutral entity, but no court, no sun, no forged document can garnish, lien, or seize what is technically not mine. David spent his whole performance trying to access wealth that had already evaporated from my name. He was robbing an empty room and did not know it. You must dehydrate your visible assets until your financial identity looks like dust to anyone scanning it. Ghost your own wealth. Make it legally invisible while you remain the hand that steers it. The second secret is the decoy. I keep a joint checking account with a balance of $5,000. That is it. It is connected to David's name. He can see it. He monitors it. He watches the balance and believes I am running out of resources. That account exists for one purpose, to feed his illusion of control. While he obsesses over $5,000, the architecture underneath moves millions through channels he will never access. You need a decoy, something small, something visible, something that makes the vultures think the carcass is almost picked clean. Let them fight over scraps while the feast is somewhere they will never look. The third secret is the migration. That Sunday, when David physically pulled my husband's portrait off the wall, searching for a safe, he found nothing, because the safe behind that painting has been empty for 3 years. Every precious metal, every bearer bond, every document of value was moved to non-bank depository boxes in private jurisdictions that do not answer to domestic subpoenas. You do not store your power where people expect to find it. You move it so far from their imagination that even if they tore your house apart, board by board, they would leave empty-handed and confused. David left my library that night with drywall dust on his knuckles and nothing in his hands. The look on his face was worth more than anything inside that wall ever was. If you are still here, if something in your gut is tightening because you recognize these patterns in your own family, then type strength in the comments right now. Not for me, for yourself. because what I am about to give you next is the difference between dying with dignity and dying as a footnote in someone else's bank statement. The fourth secret is the fiduciary lockout. I registered an advance directive that transfers every medical and financial decision-making power to a third-party corporate auditing firm. Not to David, not to Sarah, not to any cousin, nephew, or church friend. A cold, professional, legally armored entity that has no emotional leverage to exploit. If I fall into a coma tomorrow, no family member can sign a single prescription, a single check, or a single document in my name. They are barred. Legally, permanently, irrevocably barred. You think that sounds extreme. I think burying women who trusted their children with the power to pull the plug sounds extreme. Choose your version of extreme. The fifth secret is the poison clause. My updated will contains a no contest provision with teeth that bite through bone. If David or Sarah challenge a single comma of my final distribution, they forfeit everything, not just the large bequests, everything. Down to the symbolic dollar, I left them as a reminder that I remembered their names and chose that amount deliberately. A will without a poison clause is an invitation to litigation, and litigation is where families go to bleed each other dry in public while lawyers drink champagne. I sealed my will shut with a penalty so severe that contesting it would cost them more than obeying it. That is not cruelty. That is architecture. Now, while this war was being fought in my dining room and my library, something else was trying to kill me quietly. Stress. Betrayal does not just break your heart. It floods your blood with cortisol, the chemical that ages you from the inside, that corrodes your immune system like acid on iron. The system does not need to lock you in a facility if your own grief does the job first. So I fight on a second front. Every morning I walk barefoot on the cold earth of my winter garden for 30 minutes, my feet on the ground, pulling free radicals out of my body, lowering the inflammation that turns old women into patients. I do not take sedatives. I do not numb myself with television or wine. I breathe. Tactical breathing. 4 counts in, 4 counts held, 4 counts out, 4 counts still. While David's blood pressure climbs toward a stroke from his own desperation and liquor, my nervous system stays calibrated. I drink dense matcha infusions loaded with polyphenols that keep my neural pathways sharp enough to read fiduciary contracts at midnight and dismantle the ego of every heir who thinks I have slowed down. My body is my fortress, and I maintain it the way I maintain my portfolio, with discipline that does not flinch. Now here is the master secret I promised you, the one I discovered at 76 that changed the entire game. It is not a financial instrument. It is not a legal clause. It is a principle, and it is this. The most dangerous moment in your financial life is not when you lose money. It is when the people around you find out you have it. Wealth is silent, or it is vulnerable. There is no middle ground. The second a number leaves your mouth, a clock starts ticking. Someone is calculating. Someone is planning. Someone is calling an attorney, calling a relative, calling a financial advisor who will help them build a case for why your money should be their money. I learned this when I made the mistake of mentioning one property value at one dinner 8 years ago, and that single sentence became the seed of every assault I have described to you tonight. One sentence, one number, one moment of trust that became a decade of siege. The master secret is total, immovable, permanent silence about the full scope of what you own. Not secrecy born from shame, silence born from the understanding that in a world where the system treats your age as weakness and your skin as a discount, the only safe vault is the one nobody knows exists. I did not tell you this story so you would feel sorry for me. I told you this so you would stop making the mistakes I see you making every single day. You are out there adding your children to your deeds because a YouTube video told you it avoids probate. You are out there giving your financial advisor your passwords because he seems trustworthy. You are showing your bank statements to your siblings because family should be honest with each other. You are walking into a furnace wearing gasoline and calling it love. Stop it tonight, not tomorrow, tonight, because the people circling your assets do not operate on your timeline. They are already 3 moves ahead. You have sat through this entire lesson. That tells me something about you. It tells me you are not soft. It tells me there is a part of you that already knew what I was going to say before I said it, because you have felt it in your own kitchen, at your own table, watching someone you raised look at you with numbers in their eyes instead of love. Trust that instinct. It is older than any contract. It is ancestral. It is the same instinct that told your grandmother to sew coins into the hem of her dress, that told your great-grandmother to bury silver under the oak tree, that told every black woman before you that the world will always come for what you built, so you better build it where they cannot reach. I am Ruth. I am 80 years old. My fortress stands, and now you know how to build yours. Go to your documents tonight. Look at every name that has access to anything you own, and ask yourself one question. If this person changed tomorrow, if love turned to greed the way milk turns to poison, would I survive it? If the answer is no, you have work to do, and you do not have as much time as you think. Type legacy in the comments if you are ready to start, and share this with the one person in your life you know is too trusting for their own good. Not because I asked, because they need to hear what you just heard before it is too late.